Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to this video. This video is Rabbits Season 2, Episode 6, Part 2, The Pompitous of Love. We're kind of trailblazing through this second season. The book, we'll do the first book after we do this season, and part of the reason why I'm doing the Hunter S. Thompson Kingdom of Fear is to get an idea of how to do a book. Plus, it's just a really good book, really good, especially for an election year. It's a good election year book to do. So we'll get on with this and we'll let it go. Tally ho.
Let's step back for a moment and look at an example of young synchronicities providing guidance. Say you're trying to decide between two paths of action. Then, on your way home, you continually see visual indicators referring to one of those paths. Or, if it's a yes or no question, on your way home, you see a bumper sticker on the car in front of you that reads, "Vote yes." Of course, you can read meaning into a random coincidence.
Yes, and you can. However, I like to look at it not so much as in any kind of super metaphysical, karma, some unknowable being pointing the way or giving you clues. I kind of look at it as kind of intuition, that you have an idea, you see it, and you see something that you're like, you know what? My intuition is leading me this way, so you know what? We'll go with it.
But what Jung was referring to was something more. You're standing in line at the bank, reading an article on your phone about David Bowie when you look next to you and notice a man wearing a David Bowie t-shirt. If this coincidence doesn't move something within you or feel like it's charged with meaning, it's probably just a coincidence. But if you feel like it's connected, like it pulls you in a way, then perhaps you're experiencing what Carl Jung would call a synchronicity.
See, I don't know. There are things that I don't know if it's the same. It sounds the same, but there's several of the website or YouTube channels that have merch stores that I've bought merchandise from to support, the particular channel. And I have had people come up to me. I'll be wearing like a shirt. A lot of times it's t-shirts because I love t-shirts. I am a t-shirt slut. That come up to me and go, "Hey, I watch that channel too." I don't know if that would fall under just coincidence or that might be a synchronicity, or I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's just life in general, I guess.
Or perhaps you're experiencing something else. Perhaps you're experiencing rabbits.
Yeah, if that was the case, I've been playing rabbits for the better part of 45 years. So, yeah. Which means I wished I knew what I was doing if I am playing rabbits. If rabbits, I don't know. It's kind of confusing. But luckily for us, it's all made up, and it's a really good made up story. So
At the end of our last episode, I left you standing outside the door of the Magician's Arcade. If you believe that a certain type of divination or spiritual guidance is actually possible, then it's conceivable that I'd been led to the arcade by my recent path card session. If you're not a believer, it was something else. Most likely a series of my own unconscious or subconscious decisions that had led me somewhere familiar.
That I can go with, the subconscious, the intuition. And I have chalked it up to, simply because I had read something years and years ago. I was in probably my late teens, early 20s, talking about some people, the brain processes data, certain types of data so fast, so quickly, that intuition comes across more as the supernatural power or, magic, but it's just simply the brain's ability on that particular line of logic to process it, come up with an answer and go, just boom, 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 at such a heightened hyper speed that it comes across. And I think everybody, there's a niche or something somewhere in which everybody has that ability.
A place that I understood was intimately connected to the game. Either way, that's where I ended up. I'd chosen as my guide a deck of path cards, shuffled into a completely random order. Although, of course,
Pretty much that's what shuffle means, a proper shuffle, a legitimate shuffle.
I'd shuffled and started 3 times in order to lead my quest with the Traveler as my first card. But after that initial manipulation, every card that followed was completely random. In order to move from one card to the next, I focused on certain aspects of each card that I'd flipped over in turn. A number along the side, a visual hook like an animal or a symbol or some combination of thoughts or ideas inspired by the card. Then, I used each card's inspiration to bring me to the next station on my journey. Eventually, after following seemingly random clues on 11 seemingly random cards, I ended up standing in front of the Magician's Arcade.
And now my question is, if at some subconscious level, some subconscious unknown level, you wanted to go to the magician's place in this instance, or any place, and you interpreted the facts at, like I said, at a subconscious level, that your conscious brain takes as random, but it's your subconscious putting things out, kind of like breadcrumbs for the conscious mind to pick up on. That's kind of a possibility. I've often, at a philosophical level, viewed the conscious and the subconscious as two beings living within the same body or brain or whatever, and they go to war with each other, but they do help each other most of the time.
But the door remained locked, and there were dark curtains or something similar hanging over all the windows. Now, I know what you're thinking. I should go home and get some sleep, wake up and ask around about the arcade. But the thing is, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to sleep, and I'd already asked about the arcade. That line of exploration wasn't going to get me anywhere. So I took another approach. The alley behind the arcade was dark, filled with dumpsters, rickety
Sounds a lot like a breaking and entering's getting ready to happen.
old fire escape ladders, and it was raining pretty hard. A perfect night
Yep, breaking and entering.
for breaking and entering. But what if there was a wooden window in the back alley, partially open because it used to house an air conditioner many years ago? Could we maybe just call it entering?
No, law enforcement's gonna call it breaking and entering.
And leave out the breaking bit? I've always been a firm believer in the old axiom, it's much easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
Got me through 20 plus years, about 25 years working with TDC. Good axiom.
So I lifted the old window and crawled into the arcade. Inside, it was like another world. I started recording using the voice memo feature on my phone. There are blackout curtains over all the windows.
I don't think I have a voice memo on my phone. I didn't know. I might have to look at it. It's on the charger right now. So, I didn't know. I mean, I'm filming this at like 12:45 in the morning. So, this is AM. Getting ready to be like 1 a.m. in 15 minutes, so.
Windows, but inside all the games are on. It's lit up like Christmas. That is, if your idea of Christmas is a bunch of soda, sticky, stand-up arcade games from the early to mid-1980s.
Yeah, I could define that as Christmas fairly easy.
Which mine kind of is. There are stairs leading up to an office on the second floor and some kind of front desk section, but most of the floor is reserved for the games. Arcade games in one section and pinball in another.
And that's how I remember. I think the last time I went into an arcade was early 2000s. It was like a Slick Willie's barbecue, or not barbecue, it's a restaurant / arcade. I think that's the last time. They had pool tables, pinball machines, video games, the whole nine marks, skee ball, air hockey. But yeah, I think all the games were done that segregated by, type.
I'm not going to be able to stay for very long, but it is honestly really exciting being in here, thinking about Carly Parker's experience during the first season of this podcast. I mean, she was standing right here in this very arcade.
I'm glad they clarified, that she's referring to the whole arcade and not just a particular spot.
It feels really strange being inside this place without permission.
It should.
But strange isn't the right descriptor, really. It wasn't exactly strange, it was more surreal. As if I was living somebody else's life, and that somebody was definitely a criminal. It was at that point that I flipped over the 12th and final path card.
Ba-ba-ba-bum. Here we go.
It was something called The Child. One of the words written on that card was the word frog. On the right side of the card were a series of numbers. The first number I noticed was the number 6. The 6th arcade game in the row directly in front of me was familiar. Developed by Konami and originally published by Sega, it was released in 1981. It was called Frogger.
Hated that game. I don't know why I disliked that game. I didn't really hate it, I just kind of disliked it a lot.
Because there was a machine in my favorite college pub, I'd played Frogger many times in the past. It's similar to its much more contemporary cousin, something known as Crossy Road. The plot of the game is simple. Get your frog across the road without getting killed by all kinds of dangerous things. The bravado that had carried me through my breaking and entering was starting to fade, and I wasn't sure how long I'd be able to remain in the arcade.
Yeah, if you're gonna do something like that, you need to have a plan and an exit strategy before you go into there.
So I slipped a quarter into Frogger and played the game. It took me about 6 minutes to lose all of my lives, but I did manage to get one of the high scores.
Yeah, 6 minutes, yeah, it's about 5.5 minutes longer than it would take me to lose my people, or my frogs in Frogger. That might be why I have such disdain for it.
Which is when something very interesting happened. I received a message. There, formed using raster graphic letters in place of the regular high score list, was a question. 2 letters and 1 word. Are you playing?
Bum. There you go. There it is. Are you playing?
While I was standing there staring at the screen, I heard a noise. Oh shit, somebody's here.
See, that is why you need an exit strategy. And that is where we're going to leave off on this episode. We'll come back hopefully fairly soon. Right now I've got a little bit of extra free time, so I'm doing several videos at a time and putting them up and editing them and posting them, and I really am not sure in which order they're going up. So there may be things that I say that you're like, you already said that, or you already did that, you already posted that video. So it is what it is. Remember, everybody, be good humans, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?